Good afternoon. As a courtesy to your fellow media members as well as the coaches and student athletes, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conference. Please direct your question to a specific player. If you're joining us on Zoom, please use the raise hand function for questions, and recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. We're going to go ahead and open up the floor for questions for the student athletes from the University of Tennessee. We have Olivier Kamwa, Josiah Jordan James, and Santiago Vescovi. Right here in the front.
Rob Lewis with VolQuest.com. Santiago, just 3 games without Zakai. What have you learned? What's been the biggest adjustment you've had to make to, your new role, kind of?
Definitely learning to play more on the ball now. We're definitely missing a big part of our offense with Zakai not being out there, but I think all the other guys are doing a great job stepping up. Either the old guys and the new guys are doing a great job, all of them sticking together. And at this point, if we want to win, we know we're going to have to play together, even more now that we don't have Zakai. So everybody's going to have to put a little more effort on offense and defense every single time that we're out there. And we definitely miss him, but we still got enough players to go out there and do our thing.
Scott Eisberg, WCIV in Charleston. I guess you can guess who the question's going to. Josiah, obviously you flirted with the NBA draft last year. You came back. You're in the tournament. Obviously there's been some injuries this year, but any regrets in coming back? And when you sit up on this podium, what are the emotions knowing that this is the big dance?
Great to see you, Scott. I'm glad you traveled all the way down here. But yeah, I'm really excited to be back. I wasn't really able to go through, I got invited to the G League Combine. I wasn't able to go to that because of my knee surgery that I had at the time, so it held me back. And I've 100%, if I had to make the same decision, I'd do it over again. I'm so glad and so happy that I got to come back, especially being able to play with these 2 guys for 1 more year. I have no regrets about it at all. I got some good feedback from the teams. I feel like this season, we set some goals that we achieved, some goals we haven't, but the main goal that we set out is still out there. There's a lot of happiness in the locker room, knowing that we're here and knowing that we're a part of this tournament. We don't take it for granted, and we're just excited, to get it started with Louisiana on Thursday.
Olivier, Grant Ramey, VolQuest. What have you seen from Jordan Brown on film? What makes him effective? Kind of how do you go about trying to slow him down?
I feel like a big part of his game is the pieces they have put around him. They do a really good job of giving him the ball on his spots. So I think it'll be a full team challenge for us. Our guards will have to help the bigs, and the bigs will just have to be aware of where he wants to catch the ball and push his catches out. Know he's trying to get to that left hand and try to make him work that offhand a little more. And just being physical and keeping him out of his comfort zone. But he's a good player, and he knows what he wants to get done.
Right over here.
Yeah, Andrew Miller with the Charleston Post and Courier. Josiah, just talk a little bit about Jalen and your relationship with him. And you got Furman here, you got the College of Charleston. You've seen some familiar faces, I would assume. And what's that like?
Yeah, it's awesome. Me and Jalen, I was at Porter-Gaud, he was at Pinewood. We were always arch rivals, and then in our AAU days, TMP, we became teammates. We became great friends, and I actually watched his tournament down. I don't know where they were playing, but when they played Chattanooga, I FaceTimed him right after, sent him a text, and he was in great spirits. And then he watched our first SEC tournament game, and he was texting me. He's been texting me throughout the whole season and vice versa. And I'm just so happy for him. He's Player of the Year in his conference. He deserves it. I'm excited to see what his future holds, not only within this tournament, but after the tournament, because he has a really bright future. He's actually only staying a couple of miles away from our hotel, so I'll probably get to hang out with him and chat with him before everything gets rolling tomorrow. But I'm really excited for him. I'm really excited for College of Charleston. I just know through social media that they had the whole city of Charleston rocking this whole year. They've been one of the best teams in the nation, and I'm just happy for the whole state of South Carolina and specifically the city of Charleston.
Josiah, I know your family travels everywhere, but how special is it, for your grandpa to travel to all these games? And now your brother came back from overseas, and he said a big reason was that he wanted to see you play. How special is it that everyone can kind of come together for this career at Tennessee?
It's awesome. You know, basketball for me, ever since I've been a young kid, it's been a family affair. Basketball runs through our whole family. It's all I've known since growing up. And so, you know, just being able to have my family come and support me, it means the world to me. Everybody on my mom's side, everybody on my dad's side, you know, just coming together. They always tell me no matter how I play, no matter what the score is, they're just proud of me because they've been able to travel and watch me play places that they never would have thought of going. And so I owe them a lot of credit. I wouldn't be up here or in this position without them. And so I just try to go out there and play for them, play for my teammates in the University of Tennessee.
Wes Rucker with 24/7 Sports. This is for Santi. When the way that you're defended out there, you know, every game, it's always been so physical. And I wonder at what point this season did you notice how much different it was going to be with the way people were sort of hounding you and focusing on you, and what have you had to do with your own game to adjust to that?
We knew from beginning of the season and just play out there, talk to the coaches and see what we can adjust every single day.
Right here.
Andrew Miller again with Charleston. Josiah, every player goes into the season wanting to improve on a particular part of their game. What were your goals going into improve, and where do you think you've improved, you know, from the beginning of your career to now?
You know, my main goals and the feedback that I got from, you know, the next level is just they want to be a better defender. And I feel like I've stepped up in many ways. They want me to be able to guard 1 through 4, not only for the next level, but for my team. I want to be able to be relied on the defensive end. And I think I've made a huge improvement battling through injuries. It's been tough, but I still feel like one-on-one, I think I can win any matchup. You know, coming into college, I was naive. I thought I knew about everything. I didn't think that, you know, there was much more for me to learn. And I quickly found out that wasn't the case. I just feel like, you know, on the court, my IQ, offensively and defensively, has grown tremendously with the help of my coaches, with the help of these guys, my teammates. They've been on me and vice versa, and I feel like I've grown as a leader. But I feel like, you know, my game as a whole has just, you know, transformed. I wasn't a very good shooter coming out of high school. I feel like that's one of the better things that I do now. So I feel like in every aspect of the game of basketball, I feel like I've grown and gotten better.
Santi, what's worked well for you the last, 2-3 weeks? It feels like you've been kind of locked in at a different level.
Definitely the whole team. I think my teammates put me in a great spot every time. Same thing with the coaches. And I don't know, just going in the game, just letting the flow of the game go and see what we can get. Not really out there thinking about scoring for myself or anything. And the times that I get to score, I got to give a lot of credit to my teammates. They really put me in the right spot and the right time every single time. And like, I'm not worried out there. Like, if I get to shoot it, I'm confident on myself. If they get to shoot it, I'm even more confident on them. So I think that freedom that we get to play with out there, knowing that we're going to have each other's back no matter what, I think that what gives us a great sense of just being confident.
All right, that was great.
Final questions for the student athletes? One more right here.
Wes Rucker with 24/7 Sports. This is for Olivier. In terms of, we've asked a lot of the other guards, you know, how things are different without Zakai out there. For you and the rest of the big men, how different are things? I mean, is it different in transition? Is it different in the half court? What, if anything, has changed for y'all?
I think just maybe if you put it in simple terms, Z's speed is something for the bigs. You know, it's something we got used to early on, is what kind of speeds he plays with, and he knows how to get to his spots. So now we have different guards that play at a different pace, still a good pace, but just the speed that he used to play with, we had to adapt to that. Now we're working to adapt to our, you know, we got bigger guards, and we got, you know, guys like Shaq who can physically get to where they want to get to, or Santi, where he's more, you know, trying to give it to you and then go off that pass. And then where Joe, he's pacing himself, you know, using his size to get to his spots, you know. Just the speed that he used to play with, you know, he was one of those faster guards. probably one of the fastest guards in the country. So really, I think that would be the main adjustment for the bigs.
Final questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Head coach Rick Barnes will be on the stage at 2:20. Okay, good afternoon. As a courtesy to your fellow media members, again, please make sure that your cell phones are on silent. We're going to go ahead and open up the floor for head coach Rick Barnes. Right here.
Rob Lewis with VaultQuest.com. Coach, just when you get in these tournaments, a lot of times when the underdog gets rolling, they've hit a lot of threes. Louisiana led the Sun Belt in three-point shooting. How big of a point of emphasis is guarding the three-point line tomorrow?
Well, it's important. I think that when you look at teams this time of year that can shoot the ball, they stress your defense on the perimeter, but they've also got a terrific post player that they play through that they love getting him the ball, and he can move the ball, and he's really has gotten a lot of attention from a lot of different opponents this year, and we're going to have not only just great perimeter defense, but we're going to have great post defense.
Right here. Right over here, I'm sorry.
Karaski Melvin, KLFY in Lafayette. Coach, can you talk about your relationship with Coach Bob Marlin?
Yeah, I met Bob, oh man, I don't even know how many years ago, many years ago, when I went to Texas and he was at Sam Houston. We were always, it seemed to be in the same place at the same time, obviously recruiting, and have just the utmost respect for Bob and the job that he's done everywhere he's been. He's a terrific basketball mind. His teams, and everywhere he's been, he's played at a high level, been in this tournament many times, and just does a great job of putting his guys in position where they can be successful. You look at this team, and he really spaces the floor well to give them a chance to not only put the ball inside, but play off their post player, and then they certainly shoot the ball well. But as a human being, too, as I've gotten to know Bob, he's just a wonderful person, and it's been a blessing for me to get to know him.
Andrew Miller with the Post and Courier down in Charleston. Just talk a little bit about Josiah James. He came back for his fifth year. Talk about that decision to forego the NBA, and then what he's meant to the program for the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, he's meant a lot to our program in just so many different ways, not only on the court, but the way he handles himself off the court, and has had to deal with injuries throughout his career, but he's always worked as hard as he can to get back, and I know has been frustrated at times because he loves, obviously, the kind of person that wants to try to do more and help his teams, and he's, when he got back, then he got hurt again with a high ankle sprain, which happened at a tough time of year, but he continues to do everything he can to help us, but from the time that he's walked on campus, he's been a very important part of our program.
Hey, Coach, Mike Bianchi with the Orlando Sentinel. When Danny White left Orlando to go up to Tennessee as the AD, can you speak to what that's been like? What did he do to sort of right the ship in the athletic department there?
That would probably take all afternoon to tell you everything that he and his staff have done. It's been an incredible turnaround, and the fact that they've done so many things, and obviously what's happened with football has been great, and it probably happened quicker than we all could imagine that it happened. But with everything, there's an emphasis placed on winning and doing it the right way. There's a great emphasis placed on integrity, protecting the university, but the leadership that he brought in and has a big job in terms of continuing to bring our facilities up to where they need to be, because we're in the best athletic league in the country, but there's not one area of the university that he hasn't impacted some way. With our fan interest has just grown leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. I think our fan experience at games, not just basketball, football, he's put a great emphasis on that. I think he's put a great emphasis on trying to include everyone that we can, and not only expand the great base that we have with Ball Nation, but everywhere, just to bring, he said to me one day that, everybody that moves into Nashville, Tennessee, we need to make them volunteer fans. He's a guy that I think that really thinks outside the box. I think I would say he's one of the most competitive people I've ever been around, and he's got a staff around him that, that they want to give us a chance to have everything that we need to compete at the highest level. But I could go on and on, but the fact is what he's done in such a short time is something he should really be commended for, and people should take recognition to it.
Right here.
Yeah, Kip Coons, Press Box View. Rick, it would seem that you can't outrun your ACC past either. You're here, and also Virginia and Duke. Virginia, although in the other bracket, and Duke possibly in your way. Have you had a chance to catch up with either staff and compare old-time ACC notes with them?
No, I did bump into Jay Lucas, who played for me at Texas, and now Jay's on the staff at Duke, and we were able to cross paths when we were at the practice facility earlier this morning. But you look at both of those staffs, and certainly Virginia and what they've done over the last, they've been a model of consistency with the way they do things. And John Shire's first year, I think, has been a terrific success in the way that he's built this team he's gotten, continue to get better. And, when I think of Tony Bennett, I mean, I've known Tony, knew his dad, coached against his dad. So, again, just really great people. And I'm not surprised by the success of either one of them. And I think both of those guys have walked into jobs that are really pretty much made for them. And they've taken it and they've ran with it. And if you know them, I don't think anybody would be surprised at the success they've had and what they're going to continue to have.
Rick, you've talked about opposing defenses taking away the three-point line. What do you guys got to do to avoid that? How do you keep a defense from taking away the three-point line?
How do you say it again? How do we guard the three-point line? What you're saying?
How do you avoid other teams from taking the three-point line away from you?
Well, again, when they're out that far, you've got to be able to drive the ball. You got to be able to make them respect the fact that you can go to the basket. And some teams do it different ways. Some teams will just simply stay out there and dare you to go in there with it. And we've been faced with that some this year. And then obviously some teams would prefer getting into gaps and trying to reach and take the ball that way and make it more difficult to pass from a driving kick situation. But I'm not, at this point in time, I don't think we'll see a defense. I mean, we've seen pretty much every defense I think you could see this year. It's going to get down to the way people play personnel. And we need to, again, execute what we do. We need to make sure our spacing is where it is and move the ball and pass the ball and make sure when throughout the game you've got to make adjustments and that we're alert enough, and when we come out of timeouts, the adjustments that we call for, that we can execute them.
Wes Rucker with 24/7 Sports. Rick, you've been coaching this game for a while. You've been in this tournament a long time. Some teams head into this thing and they've won 9 of their past 10. Sometimes you're 5 of your past 10 or whatever it is. In your experience, how much does any of that matter once this tournament starts?
Well, you go back through history, there's teams that have limped into the tournament and won it. There's teams that have come in at a 12 seed and win a national championship. There's teams that got beat by 15 points in our conference championship and lost 4 games in February in a row, maybe 7 out of 9. I think that when you get here, it's all a start over, and certainly you like to think that if you've had that momentum coming in, I would just say I think when you get here, it all starts over, and you better understand the urgency of taking care of all details with it, and you want your players to really enjoy it. I don't think you want to do drastic changes with your team because I think you send the wrong signal to them doing that. I think you've got to get them to believe that what got them here is good enough to win it, and knowing that I would say a lot of teams have gone through some ups and downs this year, and we're no different than that. But right now we've got to rely on the work, everything that we put into our program. We believe in it and know that if we come out and compete, and that's the main thing, we'll compete at the highest level, we feel like we can give ourselves a chance to win, and I would think that any team in the country would have that attitude.
Final questions for Coach Barnes. Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Oral Roberts would be up at 2:50.